regular interval until complete removal. And this is very, very important. Basically, what they're doing in cosmetic clinics, they're charging you a fortune many times, your lower eyelid, and the fourth day is going to be less, and so on. Until the fifth day, it's quite difficult to tell that you had swelling at all. The swelling, then this sort of swelling happens after applying the syringe remover as well, but the aftercare is absolutely nothing when using the syringe remover. But if you're using products at home, in this video we're going to do a readout of the page Syringoma peels for home use. This is very important because basically if you've got syringoma, given the fact that cosmetic clinics are not always really good at effectively removing your syringoma, and then you go to cosmetic clinics and you're going to get recurrence, especially because they do not actually remove them really well. Many people wanted to know how to actually do it at home, and this is what we're going to cover in this video by doing a readout and also adding my comments to that. This is a web page that was written in 2014, mind you. So syringoma peels for home use. Syringoma removal using peels at home. As we've seen, TCA is the preferred peel option for syringoma removal in cosmetic clinics, alongside lasers, electrodesiccation or electroforation equipment. The main reason for preferring these methods is generally the excellent results of these cosmetic procedures within one session. Now, especially about using TCA. TCA is key. TCA has been demonstrated in several papers to be actually very effective in removing syringoma. So not only that, but since then more and more people have used it at home with great results. However, when it comes to syringoma removal at home, the game changes because it is possible to apply the peel at regular interval until complete removal. And this is very, very important. Basically, what they're doing in cosmetic clinics, they're charging you a fortune many times, and they want to do it in one session if they can. If you then get recurrence, they're going to look for an excuse to charge you more and do it again. People who have syringoma have got very disappointed at removal in clinics because they usually do not know how to actually do it, and therefore you get recurrence 2 to 3 weeks after the supposed removal. But the good thing about doing it at home is that you've got whatever product you're using or products you'd like to try, you can actually use them at regular intervals. So if you don't remove them completely in one session, it doesn't matter, you can reapply them anyway. So that is a great advantage, and if you keep at it, then you will eventually succeed. So the good thing about home products is that you can keep going and keep trying as many times as you want. Nobody stops you, the government doesn't stop you. Basically, also the other thing is the government doesn't have much say of what you do at home, whereas the government, either in the US or in Europe, has a big say of what clinics do in their businesses, or people do in their businesses in general. So it's a very different thing. So as soon, especially if you've got syringoma, get educated about syringoma removal, because if you do get educated, you may be able to find the right solutions for you, and you can do it at home, and you're going to get better results that you would get even in clinics. So that's very important to realize. Education doesn't cost a lot, and if you have syringoma, it doesn't cost a lot to get educated. There's lots of information on the internet, especially the one that we provide. Just study it, and then you're very likely going to find the solution that is working for you. So at home, there is no rush after all. Therefore, milder peels like glycolic or mandelic acid allow removal in stages. Now, glycolic acid, just to give you a tip, we use concentrations up to 95% in our syringe remover. So this is a sort of concentration that you're looking for with glycolic acid. But mind you, we have got interest to sell our products, but you know what is inside the syringe remover. So it's up to 95% glycolic acid. Why use peels at home? The main problems associated to syringoma removal in cosmetic clinics is that not only are they expensive, but syringoma recurrence dictates that in some cases cosmetic treatments should be repeated periodically in order to maintain good cosmetic results by keeping the recurring syringoma at bay. Now, I mean, and you may actually experience it. If you went to cosmetic clinics, you'll experience it. And if you want to experience it, by all means, try a cosmetic clinic. What you'll find is that, very likely, you'll pay, I don't know how much, depends on where you are, you'll pay an arm and a leg to get it removed, so to speak. 3 weeks after, you're back on and you're going back to the clinic, they may try to charge you again. So try to get to pay 2,000, 1,000 a month for the treatment is a bit, basically you would actually spend loads of thousands. So whereas if you find the right solution for you for syringoma removal at home, your life is going to be much easier if you actually think about the time that it saves and the money that it saves as well. Because as we have seen, syringoma once removed can return, and in some cases they seem to turn into chronic condition. What we mean here is that there is no matter how they are treated, syringoma may keep recurring after removal. Now, what we found recently is that there is a correlation of syringoma removal and the way they are removed. So if they're removed properly, especially going inside the syringoma, a bit deeper inside the skin, the recurrence rate is less. So this suggests that they actually tend to recur, especially 2 to 3 weeks after treatment, if they're just leveled off with the surrounding skin, which is actually not doing very much for syringoma removal. Therefore, the option of a home removal cosmetic treatment is very convenient, especially for those who have tried lasers, TCA, or other treatments, having experienced subsequent recurrence problem. Now, especially if you went to a cosmetic clinic. The best cosmetic peel solution we have found for home syringoma removal is the use of glycolic or mandelic acid in a gel formulation. This is what we are actually using in the syringe remover, that is to say the glycolic acid. We have moved away from the option of using TCA because although very effective, TCA is not very easy to control. In other words, it is not easy to control the chemical ablative effects of TCA without some form of training. This does not take away the safety of TCA, of course. Additionally, TCA is a very strong chemical peel, and as a consequence of its application, swelling often occurs 1 or 2 days after its use. The swelling normally, now talking about swelling, it's not as if you apply a syringe remover on your upper eyelids, you're not going to get swelling. Very likely you're going to get swelling anyway, but it's not as potent, it's not as severe as the swelling that you get after you applied TCA for syringoma removal on your upper eyelids. What you get after you apply TCA on your upper eyelids 1 day after is quite severe swelling, so severe that some people cannot even open their eyes properly the day after, but they shouldn't get worried. This sort of swelling will subside over time. The way it works is the day after you applied TCA on your upper eyelids, you're going to get very swollen upper eyelids. 2 days after, the swelling is going to subside from your upper eyelids, it's going to move on to the lower eyelids. Third day is going to be almost nothing on your upper eyelid, and it's going to be on your lower eyelids, and fourth day is going to be less, and so on. Until the fifth day, it's quite difficult to tell that you had swelling at all. The swelling, then this sort of swelling happens after applying the syringe remover as well, but in much less extent, especially if you apply by applying the syringe remover by using our instructions. It's not as if it will not happen. It will happen, but it's less severe. The swelling normally subsides 3 to 4 days after the application, and I actually told you how the way it subsides. However, swelling is not a pleasant experience to have at home. And who are people unfamiliar with the effects can easily become worried, and those people who are unfamiliar with these effects can become worried. Many people have gone, not many people, some people have actually gone to the hospital because they just freaked out after the swelling. Also, TCA causes hypopigmentation on skin types 5 and 6, the darker skin types. For home use, other peels are preferred, i.e. mandelic, pyruvic and glycolic acid. This is because the ablative effects of these peels can be stopped by simply wiping off the gel and rinsing with water. This has been corroborated not only by scientific studies but also by our own experience with those types of peels. For this reason, their cosmetic ablation effects are easily controllable and therefore deemed more suitable for home removal. Moreover, swelling does not always occur after the use of these types of cosmetic peels. Therefore, this is a huge advantage versus TCA for home use. Now, a bit of commentary here. It's not as if we say it. This is actually corroborated by science and evidence, especially because in 2014, after a few events in our business, what happened is that we had to myself personally, being the responsible first person for the company, I had to make sure that 100% whatever we'd done was extreme, not only legal but even more sound than legal. So all this evidence about being able to actually control the effects of glycolic acid by just the way I actually told you, we found it and put it aside because we had to make sure that whatever we'd done, not only was it sound legally, but it was actually extremely safe, and if we ever been challenged on the safety, we had all the evidence that we required, and that really turned to be extremely useful later on. But other events which I'm not going to discuss here, but that's very true. What we've actually read out there is extremely true and can be corroborated. We haven't put the links in there, but we have the evidence somewhere in our systems. The product we use in the syringe remover is a thick gel formulation for two main reasons. Avoiding drips formation during the application, which always comes in handy when removing lesions. Also, a gel formulation allows lower peel concentration to have similar effects of such stronger solutions. Both mandelic and glycolic acids are very stable and therefore last long, minimum 12 months shelf life in a gel-like formulation. TCA does not last long in a gel formulation, usually a maximum of 6 months for home production. Concentrations. The concentration of these peels for home use should be between 70–95% glycolic acid gel, with buffering ingredients. When we say milding ingredients, we mean regulation, pH regulation, the regulation of its acidity. 75–100% of mandelic acid used plus milding ingredients. Pyruvic acid, 50–80% concentration plus milding ingredients. And what we now use in our standard product is 70–95% glycolic acid in our syringe remover. If concentrations are too low, the ablation effects will be too mild and the product user will quickly become frustrated at the lack of results. On the other hand, if the concentration of the peels is too high and without milding ingredients, the formulation could result too aggressive. This could result in excessive swelling over ablation, which could subsequently result in scarring if used recklessly. The fact that the peel is formulated in a thick gel consistently also adds the advantage that the active peel, mandelic, pyruvic, glycolic acid, remains effective over time. Remember that the home formulation should be applied in 2 to 3 weeks intervals, because every time the gel is applied to the area should be felt to recover before reapplying. There's a bit of it should be left to recover before reapplying. To summarize, The disadvantage of using milder formulation at home is that multiple applications may be required to achieve the desired effects. However, milder peels used at home present the added advantage that they can be used in complete comfort at home. Aftercare. The aftercare is minimal after this type of procedure at home. Although the risks of infection are very low after a superficial cosmetic procedure, it is advisable to instruct the client to apply the appropriate antiseptic cream twice a day. This will drastically reduce even further risks of mild infections. In order to reduce the risks of hyperpigmentation, sunscreen must be worn daily for at least 3 months after the last treatment. Now, the aftercare is absolutely nothing when using the syringe remover, but if you're using products at home, there shouldn't be much aftercare either. But remember that sun exposure can lead to hyperpigmentation in all cases, and TCA can lead to hypopigmentation as well as hyperpigmentation. So this is all for this video. Should you want to get more information, we've got much more information on our website, syringomaremoval.com.